Welcome back to Music Kingdom. It's been quite a while since I last blindly reviewed a metal song on this channel, and Lord knows ever since I have gotten a ton of requests to review a specific song by a specific band in particular. And so in this video we will be listening to, giving a music theory breakdown for, and blindly reviewing Orion by Metallica. Stay tuned. Hi everyone, my name is Francis. If you are a fellow nerd for music such as myself and you appreciate not just reactions but in-depth reviews and analysis of songs, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you'd like to support the work I put into these videos, you'll find various links in the description below. Alright, now before we give the song a listen, first let's briefly talk Orion by Metallica. Orion is from Metallica's third studio album titled Master of Puppets, released in 1986. Master of Puppets was Metallica's last album to feature bassist Cliff Burton, and regarding the song Orion itself, it was written primarily by Burton and was named after the constellation of the same name, Orion, due to its spacey sounding bridge. While touring in 1986 to support Master of Puppets, the band's tour bus crashed, killing Burton. Orion was played over speakers during his funeral, and after his death, James Hetfield had the notes from the bridge of the song tattooed on his left arm. While demoing songs for Master of Puppets, Orion and Welcome Home Sanitarium had originally been one song titled Only Thing. Between the demo sessions and the album recording sessions, the two songs were eventually split apart. However, this meant that the song hadn't been fully written before the band arrived to the studio in Copenhagen. And while working on finishing the track, the band made the decision to keep it as an instrumental. After the death of Cliff Burton, the song became one of Lars Ulrich's favorite Metallica songs. He would say, obviously the emotional component of Orion with the Cliff element, and that whole middle piece obviously is so beautiful and so unique, unlike anything that obviously we had ever done before or pretty much done ever since. Very important context, and is yet another reason why I love learning history regarding songs, albums, or bands. History aside, however, at long last it's time we give the song a listen, and just a heads up, I will be pausing a few times to share my thoughts, but ultimately to avoid any copyright strikes. And of course, as always, be sure to stick around after the song for a music theory breakdown from our expert, and then we're going to divide the song into specific categories, grading them each, averaging them out, and arriving at an overall score. Fade-ins are underrated, by the way. I love a good build-up, you know. Interesting chords. It has a bit more of an 80s sound than a lot of Metallica songs I've heard, which admittedly aren't a ton, but something about it. Thoughts so far, an interesting introduction. As mentioned, I love a good fade in, which I feel like is rare. And also, the chords themselves are a bit unique. Now, obviously, I'm no composition expert, which is why we have one, but so far it would seem simple enough, yet with very interesting details, intricacies. Honestly, I would say more, but so far there really isn't a ton for me to talk about. And we've got so much song left ahead of us, I'm very curious to see where it goes. Love their transitions. Always. There's never a bad Metallica transition. So smooth. Something about Metallica that I like is even when they're not loudly in your face being badass, they're still very badass. Which I feel like is harder to pull off. Alright, thoughts at this point. First of all, bitchin' solo. I mean, you come to expect that from Metallica, but the way they hit you each and every time is just stellar. I will also mention, and maybe it's just convenient to say, but I do love the decision to leave this song as an instrumental. As is the case with any song of any genre, when it's instrumental, obviously you're able to tune in more to the music itself. We all love good vocals, we all love good lyrics, but with an instrumental track, especially Metallica, you're really just able to fully melt into the song and immerse yourself in the vibes. Also, I always want to mention, at least when I can remember to mention it, just how impressive it is that they were so young. Blows me away every time I listen. Oh my God. Wow. It's almost like blues rock or psychedelic rock to an extent. Like either Hendrix or Santana or ELO, but with a metal feel, obviously. Not what I was expecting. So pretty. Thoughts at this point? Holy shit. I do not mean this to be sacrilegious, but this almost doesn't sound like a Metallica song. Granted, don't crucify me, I haven't heard a ton of their work, obviously, but hopefully you know what I'm getting at. I know I mentioned a few other bands, but I would also even mention a bit of Pink Floyd if they had a baby with the genre of metal. I now realize why such a big deal has been made regarding the bridge of this song. Their bassist, Cliff Burton, as a composer, I mean, sheesh. Absolutely beautiful, and something I don't always do when I review songs on this channel is add them to my library, because just subjectively speaking, I am very selective and picky with what I add. This song, pleased to say, has made the cut, and it's not even over yet. I don't know what I was expecting. Certainly not this. Oh. Oh, wow. What a transition. Wow. What I love about the solos in this song is how melodically beautiful they are, as opposed to just badass. Wow. Already fading out. I didn't even feel, it's what, an 8.5 minute song? I didn't even feel it. And honestly, I love a good fade out. Some people say a fade out is lazy, but in my opinion, if you have something perfect, let it go off into the sunset. Alright, initial thoughts before we go to the expert's corner and before grading the song. As mentioned, I'm not sure what I was expecting, but it most certainly was not that. Stunning song, and as also mentioned, you really don't feel the length. Nothing against longer songs either, I've got plenty of favorites that are well above 10 minutes, but typically with a song that is 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you can kind of feel where you're at in terms of how much time has passed, the duration. But with this one, I mean, maybe it's the bridge and how hypnotic that is, or just how well done the song is start to finish regardless. But by the time it fades out, you're just like, wait, what? Now, regarding more technical aspects of the song, I do have more specific thoughts, which I'll get to when I'm breaking apart the song into specific categories, grading them each. But first, let's go to the expert's corner for a music theory breakdown and to see how he grades the song's composition.
Welcome to the Experts Corner. This is Orion by Metallica, and I'm here to give it a composition score. The song's in the time signature of 4/4, and it's in the key of E minor, at least in the beginning. The song also spends quite a bit of time in F sharp minor, however it does eventually go back to E minor, so I'm going to say E minor is the primary key. So compositionally, this song has a lot going for it, despite the fact that its chords are actually pretty simple and pretty repetitive at parts. Let me go ahead and show you one of my favorite progressions in the song. It's the one we hear towards the beginning, and it's only 3 chords. You've got E minor, B minor, and B major. It's not often you hear a minor chord go to its major version right next to each other. You don't hear that often in music, modern music, at all. In action, it's the part that goes kind of like this. I love it. Super cool, super unique. However, as I said earlier, the chords themselves are not the star of the show when it comes to this song's composition. What really shines in this song are its melodies. This song is melodically brilliant. My favorite part of the song in that regard is the harmonized guitar solo. There's something just so satisfying about that part, the way the guitars play this very intricate, beautiful, almost classical sounding melody in perfect harmony, in perfect unison. Really great stuff. Another thing that stood out to me with this one was its rhythm. About 2 minutes in, maybe 2.5 minutes in, they do something that I would personally call a musical magic trick, or a rhythmic magic trick. I think the illusion lies mainly in the drums. They do this syncopation that makes you think you lost an 8th note or lost maybe a 16th note. Something feels off and it kind of stops you if you're bobbing your head. But if you actually count it out, do the math, they didn't lose a single beat, they didn't lose a single half beat. It's straight 4/4 the whole time, but it doesn't sound like it. And I think that is the coolest thing. I just geek out about that kind of stuff. Overall, this song's composition is excellent, and I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Why not a 9? Why not a 10? Well, it's not the most amazing composition I've ever heard in my life. It does get a bit repetitive. The chords are very simple. In spite of that, everything else it did so well to warrant an 8 out of 10. Back to you, Francis.
A very special thank you to our expert for providing a music theory breakdown and giving the song's composition a great 8 out of 10. And now it's time to divide the song into 4 more categories, or I suppose 2 more categories, averaging them out and arriving at an overall score. Starting off with the category of production specifically, I am also inclined to give it a great 8 out of 10. I will give my usual disclaimer, which applies to genres like hard rock or metal, which is, in genres like these, it is harder to gauge or assess production, simply because it is usually minimalistic, so that the bands can go and perform it more easily live. So with a song like this, I was inclined to give the production a good 7 out of 10. Props to how well it's mixed, how tight the band is, how all of the different variables work so well together. But I'm going with the 8, and you'll hear me say this again a bit later, because of the bridge. Now, how much does the bridge itself have to do with production as opposed to composition? Honestly, it has more to do with composition than production. However, the decision to go in that direction in the first place and to execute it so flawlessly, including the way it's mixed, including the various instruments, that to me is worth mentioning regarding production. And so there you have it. Up next, we would typically have the category of lyrics, which there are none of, followed by the category of vocals, which there are also none of. Double zeros. Kidding, that would hurt the overall score, so instead I'm going to go with not applicable for both categories. Which leads us to our final category already, which is originality, and I will be giving it a great 8.5 out of 10. When I'm thinking of originality, it really is a broad general umbrella term. It could mean literally originality. It could also mean creativity, expression, authenticity. Is it fresh? How well composed is it? Has it been heard before? Cultural or historical significance, so on and so forth. So in the case of this song, I was a bit torn because on one hand I wanted to give it an 8, and on the other hand I wanted to give it a 9. An 8 would be simply because I do feel like this is a very original song. However, does it sound unlike so many other songs that are metal by either Metallica or whoever else? It does, but not to a severe extent. So I would say in that respect it is original in a great way, but not necessarily to an amazing extent. However, I was also thinking of that 9 simply because of the bridge. It is absolutely beautiful, and certainly not what I was expecting from a Metallica song, which I'm sure a lot of other people also wouldn't expect from a Metallica song, unless of course you're a diehard fan. So between how beautiful it is and how fresh of an idea it is, there's also the historical contextual significance as well regarding the death of Cliff Burton, and the overall meaning that it gives to this song and to the rest of the band. Now granted, did they know any of that would be the case when they were composing this? No, but, and regardless, historical significance of a song absolutely matters and is worth mentioning. And so with all that said, the 9 makes sense, but so does the 8, average it out, 8.5. So now if we add it all up, including the expert's composition score, and average it out, Orion by Metallica from their 3rd studio album titled Master of Puppets, released in 1986, gets a great 8.2 out of 10. Honestly, in my opinion, this is a great song, and I feel like the score accurately reflects that. Now, to many people who subjectively adore the song, it might be a 9 or a 10. To other people who've never heard metal before, it might be a 6 or 7. And I think to someone like me with one foot in and one foot out, an 8 makes sense. But again, that is just my opinion. So as usual, let me know in the comments whether you think I am right on the money, batshit crazy, or somewhere in between, as well as what other songs by Metallica or whoever else you would like for this channel to review next. As mentioned, if you are a fellow nerd for music, such as myself, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you'd like to support the work I put into these videos, you'll find various links in the description below. This has been another edition of Music Kingdom. Thank you so much for listening with me, and I'll look forward to jamming with you in the next one.